Recording.
Rolling.
That's not helpful.
I thought we were just applauding us in.
There you go. It's so much easier to use now. You can see what they are.
Oh,
there we go.
I like that one.
Yeah, that's for when Ben appears.
Ben's red
Do we have Ben
teams.
just coming up? You put that and he just appears.
Well, eventually I'll get the podcast music on this, so we can just play it and intro ourselves. And
Oh, nice.
all sorts of
Oh,
stuff,
can we
so-
have? Does that mean? Do we get our own?
Stings.
I was thinking, like wrestlers have their own.
What would your music be? Come on.
1 minute in and H has already mentioned wrestling.
Oh, I don't know.
Each is hammer time.
No.
Looking
Okay.
like a fool to me.
I'll take something from.
Let
I'll
it
take
shine, let it shine.
Take that, yeah. We can, but maybe not you two singing it though.
If I'd had to do any more lyrics of that song, I would have.
You go like, I don't know.
Take
No.
this.
Is it? Take this, you two.
This played at my school disco once.
Save this banter.
Yeah, we'll get the,
This
we'll get the
this
lawyers.
goes out.
okay.
Don't need to cut this.
We'll get the lawyers on that. All right. Okay. Who's starting? Have we
I
started?
thought we'd already started.
All right.
This is it. We're live and rolling.
All right. Cool. All right. We'll join us next time.
All right, welcome to episode whatever number we're on of the Maverick Games podcast, broadcasting live from Maverick Games. We have broadcast from a few different venues, including last time at GDC. Early doors, we were at
One Mill Street,
Yeah.
which was
Yeah.
a nice little studio in the corner of a coffee shop. It
Yeah.
did mean that you were performing in front of a live studio audience, which
Yeah.
gave us a room full of coffee enthusiasts to bounce off of. They would occasionally
And
look
some
over.
other
Well,
enthusiasts.
we like to pretend that they were there for us.
Well, it certainly felt
They were
that
our
way. It
fans.
felt that way.
They-
Do you think they were fans, Grace?
we definitely had fans.
You had
We
fans.
did-
I thought we had
I don't
fans,
think they
yeah.
could hear what we were saying. It was just behind glass.
It was
right?
all-
They showed interest. Didn't they? People would come back and be like,
Yeah.
It felt like being in a zoo.
wonder what's
honestly.
in there.
That says a lot. The lip reading is good enough to keep people interested in this podcast.
They've got microphones. That must be important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what I don't miss about that place is how hot it was.
It
was
God.
very warm.
So hot and so loud as well for a podcast studio. Like the music was always. So if you have heard that in the back of the podcast, hopefully it's not the same here. We also started a bit of a trend. I think a lot of other people in the area started using One Mill Street
They did.
for gaming podcasts specifically. I know it's used for other podcasts.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? Sumo stole our spot, and also from the angle he had, like Chris from Sumo looked just like Tom, which was
Yeah.
on the thumbnail made me think that Tom had appeared on
Yeah,
the.
it definitely wasn't me guesting on another podcast.
Are you sure, Tom? Guest appearance on Sumo's podcast.
Actually, another bald white guy.
It was you. There was never-
Oh, there's so many of you.
Although people might think that we can't actually afford stools, which they did have at One Mill Street. So we are standing for a reason. It means we're more limber. Like you know,
More
we can move around.
energetic.
Yeah. For people listening, we are moving around, moving our limbs at the minute. It's,
Moving our limbs, I like it.
It's a new world. It's a new.
I do think voices sound better when you are standing. I think you get a little bit more of an energy to it.
Yeah.
I suppose we should actually do this podcast. So I guess section one of the podcast, as not always, but as usual, is what you've been playing. So, Tom, jump in.
I have been playing a little indie game called Animal Well.
Yes.
Hopefully that wasn't going to be your choice.
I knew you would say it.
Okay, good. It's a very strange game. It doesn't really tell you much, and it just gives you an amazing sense of discovery as you're kind of finding things out. And it's all based around animals, which again is a very weird theme. There's ducks, there's ostriches.
Is that a weird theme?
It's
like
pretty
a
weird in the
theme.
context of this game.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like
it's-
you're like a little kind of round ball with a
Ball.
face on, and it's almost like you're in a zoo or something. But
Yeah,
it's
in a well, isn't it? You fall down the well at the start.
oh my god, it's
called Animal Well.
mind blowing.
Spoilers.
I thought when you said you're a little ball.
Spoilers in the name of the game.
See, I thought little ball. You were going to be. It's going to be like going bowling. You hit the animals down.
No,
It's not-
you
it's
have
not the
legs.
case.
You have little, tiny little legs.
The thing that's
it's a bit
weird-
like I think to be reductionist, it's like it's a Metroidvania, right? You get items and they unlock new areas, but it's also super non-linear.
Yeah,
so
if
we've been texting each other, and you had completely different set of items to what I'd had.
And both of us probably felt like we were just taking the path that the game intended you to take, but both went very, very different ways.
It sounds like someone's played like game design bingo with it. Like they just grabbed a whole bunch of random bits.
It's really great bit of game design. Yeah, it's very good. And quite scary at times as well. That when you take the disc, sorry, spoilers, the D ***, I think oh God, now what have I said?
Yes, I got that message from Mike. I've picked up the D.
Do you have the D yet, Tom? And we're going to have to cut this down. Yeah. When you collect the disc and it feels like it's just an item that you picked up, and then that like horrifying cat thing comes and chases you, and you're like, oh, bloody hell, leg it. And then you leave the screen like, whew. And then it comes with you and it just follows you across the entire game.
It's horrifying. It's horrifying.
It plays really haunting music, and it's like a game that looks like it's not really a Spectrum game, is it? But it's obviously styled to be especially retro.
Yeah,
but somehow
it's got some really nice lighting in it as well.
Yeah,
it's obviously in a still image, it's like pixel arty, but it's got really unusual lighting effects and very atmospheric for a game which is quite lo-fi in fidelity.
Yeah. Did you say it was 33 megabytes as well?
It's very small, yeah. It's like double-digit megabyte downloads. Yeah. I clicked download on the work Wi-Fi, and it popped up straight away saying done.
The thumbnail for this podcast will knock on for 33 megabytes.
Wow.
Yeah, it is very good. Very, very recommend people try it.
Great. Cool.
Single dev as well. Just one person did the whole thing. So
I love that.
Wow.
Love when
That's
that
cool.
happens.
That's really cool.
And he loves animals. Presumably.
You'd hope so. Yeah.
What's the bit where is it an ostrich where it sticks its head down the hole and it follows you? That was haunting.
There's also a similar bit with a sausage dog.
Yeah, the dog just follows you like, phew, go in here, the dog can't come. And it just like sausages its way through the hole. You're like, get out of here, this is my space, not yours.
I'm sold.
We've absolutely spoiled the game, so we should.
I'm not. You
animals.
mentioned anything with a beak.
Oh, there's a lot of beaks, yeah.
Oh, you hate animals, don't you? This will be extra levels of horror for you.
We should just bleep out the words of various things we just talked about. So,
yes. That's a great shout. Yeah.
Sorry, Fraser. There's a big edit job coming away.
You shouldn't reveal to the world the way you feel about animals. It'll make people think differently of you.
I love animals.
There might be some animals in this sound effects pack.
Is that a cricket?
It's a cricket. I had a look. It's the only thing that's on there. Why is it? Yeah, I guess
it's when someone does a lame joke. Crickets. Okay.
None of that on this show.
Phrase, what you've been playing?
So I've jumped back to a game which I picked up when it first came out and didn't finish, but I've been enjoying going back to Cocoon, which I don't think we've talked about on the podcast before.
That's a very good game.
Constantly amazes me how many great games came out of that original group of people that were at Playdead, working on Limbo, and it's such a great game. Like it's got really great game design to it because it could really be the art style could be anything. It could literally be any game really. Like they go inside, get some more stuff, add a layer of difficulty. It's a really addictive format, but it also helps that it's got a wonderful art style to it, and it's just a really enjoyable game to sort of be in and play, and constantly evolving as well.
It makes you constantly feel really smart.
Yes,
when you solve something, and I'm pretty sure it's just very cleverly designed so that eventually you'll kind of if you rub up the walls, you'll eventually find the solution, but still feel smart about it.
When you sort of rack your brains and think, what must the game design process of that been like? Because it makes you feel very smart, but that actually means that the game design is very smart itself, in that like just the way that they've layered those puzzles on top of one another. Like I can't bring myself to think that it was just thought up and that was it. Like it must have been iterated on so heavily. Like it would almost be really hard. Sometimes I play games and wonder how someone managed to pitch that idea to someone and get someone to say, that sounds like a great idea. Because Cocoon, if you tried to describe what it is...
Unfortunately not the 80s movie with the old people in the swimming pool, which I was very disappointed to find when I installed it.
It is not that. It is not that, no.
It's interesting you mention about the playtesting, because I think you can... very often you can play a game and realise that it's been kind of had the nice, interesting edges chamfered off because it's been playtested to death, and you just have this fairly vanilla experience. But I think what they've done that's really interesting about that is they've used it in the right way. Because as you say, it's clearly been play tested to the nth degree, so that it's
just the right level of challenging on every new level that you get to. So,
Totally.
So I'm really enjoying it, and honestly, I just enjoy anything that comes out of that group that started out on Limbo. Like I think I mentioned Somerville as well. That was one of my favorites, and just anything like that as well. I really enjoy those kind of games that are those 8 hours that are just really easy to pick up, play, like jump back into. So yeah, I've been really enjoying it. Would recommend it to anyone who's watching the podcast or listening to the podcast.
Is it Game Pass as well?
I think it is. It was when it came out. I don't know if it is now.
It's got really interesting audio as well. You get those nice little like audio cues that pop up.
It's quite ASMR as well.
Yes,
It's like a lot of people have done sound design redesigns online. Yeah, it's all very. There's a little bit of ASMR for our fans as well. There we go. So that is what I've been playing. What about you, Mike?
So I have been playing Animal Well, as mentioned previously. The other game I've been playing that I'll discuss was a game. It's this little kind of indie game. Indie series really. It's not. I've been replaying the Metal Gear Solid series.
I thought you were going to say Halo.
Well, in a break from tradition, I've decided not to just replay the entire Halo series again and again, and revisit the Metal Gear series as they did those HD re-release on Switch. So I've just finished Metal Gear 2. Started on Metal Gear 3.
Did you do one first, or
yeah?
Okay.
Well, I didn't do like the NES ones. So I started with Metal Gear Solid, which I guess was my introduction to the series when I was a kid. It's like Metal Gear. I don't think I actually fully replayed Metal Gear 2. Perhaps, probably since like 2003, maybe. Yeah. And I've gone back a few times and just done the tanker, and then you get to Big Shell, and it's like I can't be bothered.
Metal Gear 2 constantly in my mind is one of the biggest rug pulls I think ever, in terms of just like player expectation, and then nope, you're not playing a Snake.
Yeah, and going back to it now after all those years, it was obviously it wasn't a real play. I knew that was coming. And you can kind of get a different feel of it, and you realize Snake is actually in the game quite a lot, and it's quite interesting seeing that other perspective on him. Obviously, the story is completely bonkers, but it's also the thing that struck me is like it's actually very small. Like the Big Shell as an area in my head was this like it was this epic game, right? It was massive, especially compared to the first one. But then you get back to it, it's like I don't know, it's probably got like 20 rooms.
Is that just because you're playing it on a smaller screen, though?
Oh, maybe that's it. No, I don't think that is it. But it's a small screen, but also, hold it fairly close to my face. So probably a similar experience. It's just, in my head that it was a bit more of an epic, but it was, you actually get loads of equipment and stuff that there aren't really that many opportunities to use, just because the whole game's quite small. And a lot of times it is just rerunning back through the same kind of 8 rooms you've seen.
It's kind of old now, though.
I mean, yeah, it's
like,
old. But
what's up with that Pac-Man game? There's only like 4 goes.
We've mentioned Metal Gear.
There's loads of levels in Pac-Man, by the way.
Never got past the first one.
I think Metal Gear has come up a lot on these podcasts as well. Like it's obviously got a lot of fans within Maverick Games. And also Kojima as well. Like, I'm glad I pronounced that right this time.
Andy Marshall's favorite.
Hideo Kojimani.
I wasn't on that part.
Nobody else saw that. That was in the outtakes. Sorry.
Okay. Probably in the outtakes again this time.
We do have a bunch of outtakes building up as well, which will eventually become like a Christmas podcast.
We'll eventually leak and get you cancelled.
Oh, those ones.
Yeah.
H, played a game?
Do you know what? I have, which might surprise you. But I have recently had 2 game experience with my daughter, my 14-year-old daughter. So I played the whole of, and it's the only game that I've played fully through, It Takes Two.
Oh, nice.
Great.
Yeah, it was really good. It's really good. It is such a beautiful game, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's phenomenal. Again, game design is incredible on that. And talk about a game that just does every genre. Just like, there's a bit,
absolutely.
3/4 of the way through, like, sorry for spoiling this, but where it just goes top-down isometric. And you just, like, I guess they just moved the camera, but it does make you go, oh, wow, it's a whole different game.
Yeah.
But it feels incredible quality at every point there. It's like, oftentimes when games will throw those kind of gimmicks at you, it does it cheaply. And you're like, okay, fine. It's almost a little bit of an eye roll because the in-hand experience of it isn't that good. Whereas It Takes Two never drops. It's like and I think people have made this compliment of it, which it all feels very Nintendo, which I think is an extraordinarily high praise to give to them.
And we met the team actually when we were over at DICE a couple of years back, and they're just all incredibly nice, incredibly kind of pragmatic, like exactly from playing the game, exactly the kind of people you would expect to be making that game, just like super creative, super fun, really just get on and do it. Like they were telling us about, jumping into lakes and recording all sorts of underwater sounds. So amazing. It's great. Yeah.
It's quite an emotional journey, isn't it, as you're playing it, I think, as well. And I think got to the end and it's almost like you put the controller down and you're like, I just need to sit and digest it all for a minute. So, and it was really nice to be able to do that with my daughter as well, and she really enjoyed it. I think it's the first game she's played completely through as well. So it was really
nice.
I would say the only emotional juxtaposition I had in that game was the Spanish book. Yeah, it's like, hey, you two love each other.
Does it say? It's not collaboration.
It's not racist if he's a book. He has to have a white face because it's pages, right?
I was going to ask whether you got any weird questions from your daughter about the book.
No, do you know what? I didn't actually. I think she
just accepted it.
She just accepted
There's a book here.
No, there's a book.
Whose idea was it to play the game?
It was mine.
Oh, was it? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It was mine. It was mine. Yeah. Her idea is to play Five Nights at Freddy's, right? That's the VR, the VR experience. Whilst I'm wearing the VR headset, and she's just watching because she's so terrified to actually play it. So, I thought it was something because I wanted something that we could play co-op together. In fact, we're trying to find something that we could play together with my husband as well, but we gave up on that and just the two of us ended up.
Is that because he doesn't want to play or because he's rubbish at it?
No, because he prefers to go and play Call of Duty. He's that guy.
Okay.
I think if my mum had suggested like playing that game when I was 14, I'd be like, "Are you and Dad getting divorced? Is this how you're telling me?"
True, I didn't think about it. Actually, as I was going down,
And you only play the first half of the game. Yeah, that's it.
I didn't think about that actually.
And we've got a Spanish friend coming to stay.
Come and meet Mummy's new Spanish friend. There was none of that. Yeah.
No. Yeah, it is a very heartwarming game at times.
Oh, it's lovely. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Good.
Cool. I love the idea of Joseph having to pitch that to EA and just being like, all right, so it's a game, it's 100% co-op, and you are going to play two parents that are going through a divorce who have been transformed into like little stuffed toys, and you're going to be playing through different kind of nightmare scenarios that are being dreamed up by their daughter. And there's this Spanish talking book that's going to give them like relationship advice, and somehow through the force of sheer charisma that Joseph has, everyone's like, sounds great.
Sounds great. I guess
sign you
up.
Oh, and you'll suck the eyeballs out of a Hoover as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's horrific, that bit.
It's so bad, isn't it?
Yeah. We're actually, and that's actually going to contain like 30 tiny games, and they're all going to be like Nintendo quality, really, really good. Like, credit to him, man.
It's amazing. I mean, I
don't think it won like 20 Game of the Year awards.
There's a reason why it won all those awards, because no one else would ever think about attempting something as ambitious as that. Hats off to them. It's great.
Yeah, no, it's great. Mm-hmm. It's really good.
All right, so next up, we were going to talk about the news. And
the news.
The news. Yeah, the news.
Do we have a sound effect for news?
The serious news.
It depends if it's...
Oh, no, it's not.
It's not that one.
No. We don't have an appropriate sound effect for the news. The news.
Fraser's got a new toy, that's why we think he's just...
you could...
We're given the opportunity to play around with it.
Yeah, you could...
The news.
That's very like
brought to you from the future. Channel 5.
I'm working with what I've got here, all right?
So what is going on?
I guess I feel like Dominic Diamond now, but it's been thrown back in time. We're on Games Master. I mean, it's a thing that I guess inadvertently we've talked about it quite a bit, but didn't really realize this would be the end point. And I guess we need to talk about Xbox's recent decision to shut several studios. Tango is a studio that we've talked about a few times on the pod.
Yeah.
We've been like
literally on the last podcast.
That we are.
Because you went to watch the GDC talk.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah,
Tango are a studio that we've got a lot of love for,
Yeah.
and I think that I was shocked and frankly furious when I saw that news. I couldn't even believe it. It was one of those where I was just lay in bed awake at night, just angry thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's a studio of immense talent, of real prestige, that have shipped an amazing game that's a few weeks earlier had won a BAFTA, that's just released on PS5. Still can't
It's sad, isn't it?
I
It's
can't
really
believe it.
sad.
That sentiment is echoed online as well. Everyone, I think there's a lot of other companies that have shuttered or layoffs that have happened where there's an explanation that comes with it. But something like Tango Gameworks especially is one of those things where, you release a great game, it has huge critical praise, and it's like, what did they have to do? Like,
Yeah.
they couldn't have done anything else. So like maybe the game didn't sell as well as they thought it would, but I mean it went straight onto Game Pass. So like it's I think everyone else online is echoing that frustration of like, just give us a reason. Like
Yeah, and as a business, because that's for all game studios, obviously we've got to release successful games, and if you're winning awards, a bit like Roll7, with obviously them shutting down as well, you have to deliver successful games, and you think, right, we're doing we're doing the right things. We're doing the things that we asked our dev team to do, produce great games, and then to go through your studio being shut down.
Yeah,
it's sad. How do you tell your dev team that? Exactly. I can't imagine it. Yeah. It's
I've never had to do that or
No.
even go
Well,
through it. Right? I've never done a studio that's shut down. So,
and there will be things going on in the background that none of us are aware of, and probably that Xbox would never actually talk about publicly. But it doesn't make it any easier.
Yeah.
And like for that team, there's no explanation that would have made them feel any better or Arcane or
given the public statements a lot of people on that team made, they weren't given a reason.
Right. Yeah.
So
it
was just
It often has to be a shock, like single moment in time, right? Because of things like share price.
because of markets. Yeah. They can't be pre-warned, but they can be post-explained.
Sure. That's fair.
And the other big studio obviously was Arcane, Arcane Austin, which again we talked about previously on the pod. And it was when we were talking about the gamer discourse, and I'm not for a second blaming the gamers here, but like when Redfall came out and obviously didn't achieve what Arcane would have wanted it to achieve, we did say, like people were almost having a bit of glee around Redfall underperforming. There was a sentiment online where people were quite excited about that fact and kind of laughing at them. And we'd said, like, you need to be really careful what you wish for here. Arcane are an incredibly talented, like historic studio that have made some of the best games that there are. And again, not blaming the game; it's not their decision, right? But it wasn't good for anybody that Redfall came out and underperformed. Like that is just sad. Just to start with, and you just have to hope that they're given a chance to go and do another Prey or something.
Well, they were working towards adding stuff to Redfall that was, there was going to be a new mode coming pretty soon, which got canned, and like often games can
have a second win.
Can have a second win. I mean,
Yeah.
Sea of Thieves is a great example of a game that just had to come out because it was in development for a long time, but then it's smashed loads of records and like one of the biggest Xbox games out there now. Like if you give the dev team a chance to interact with the fans and see what they want added to it, and that's kind of what you need for a live service game as well. Like you kind of just need to get it out into the world, even with all its bugs and all its flaws.
Well, look at Destiny. When that came out, I think it met at like 79 or something.
I think it was 71.
Yeah, and look at that franchise now. Rainbow Six Siege as well. I recall that metaing quite low. So.
Yeah, I think it's always going to be hard for live service games to release fully featured and enough to hit that high Metacritic bar. Like maybe if it's a polished single player experience, but Redfall almost did it the exact opposite way. Again, there'll be reasons there, but it's completely unexplainable, really.
I mean, it won't have made much money. So the explanation is that, but it's still you'd hope that there is within an organization like Xbox, you just hope that there was buffer to have a swing and a miss. Because
to look over a period of like 5-10 years and see, you are going to have some troughs, so they're not always going to be peaks.
Yeah.
And it's rubbish news, isn't it?
Yeah. So to do the tonal whiplash that you previously worried about Tom. I suppose we should address the elephant in the room before he gets angry and starts smashing up the set. This won't be a shock announcement because it's probably the name of the podcast. But Maverick Games has signed a publishing deal.
Woo! There we go.
Good. Some positive news. Keep it going, keep it going. Those hands, Tom, those
Power in
hands.
these hands.
So you probably already know this because this podcast is likely in your ears after you've seen the news. And as I mentioned, you probably read the title of the podcast before you hit play. Maverick Games has entered into partnership with Amazon Games to publish the game that we're working on. We are now able to reveal some additional details, a little smattering of information that we had previously kept secret. So, whereas previously we had described the game as a AAA open world game, we are now willing and able to share that it is a AAA open world narrative-led driving game. And that's it. That's all you get. But I think from that, hopefully you can start to let your imagination run wild with what exactly that might mean and what exactly we might have cooking. There is a blog post on AmazonGames.com in which I did a little interview and I did a little bit of flesh to the bones on that as well, and about why we think this is really important. I guess I could share that again because you're here listening to it, and I could save you going to that website. So the reason we've taken that approach and feel that creating a world with like really exciting history, narrative, characters is because those are the things that allow you to have a real emotional connection to a game, to really fall in love with characters in a world, to have that game be that bond that you have, that actually has a little bit of an emotional effect on you. That is a thing that driving games typically struggle with because you don't tend to have an emotional bond with the representation of a car that's on the screen. Now, in real life, you do have an emotional bond with a car. People do tend to have connections to their cars, and people obviously have connections to other humans. And those are some of the things that we're looking to explore in this game. Hope you find that exciting because we're making it. So, certainly all of us on the team have been thrilled about it, right?
Yeah.
I think
absolutely.
it's been so great to see how this team has come together and how everybody really believes in they believe in the game, don't they? Yeah. Everybody believes in that vision. Everyone's really excited about what we're trying to do and pushing that barrier that little bit further. I've loved watching this team come together and get to the point that we have. It's been amazing.
It's really energizing, isn't it? Like you can see whenever new starters come in and they get the pitch of what we're working on, it just spreads like wildfire, the excitement through the team, and people just get it pretty quickly. Yeah. You know, exactly what you were saying about that emotional connection to driving. It's I think it's just something that everyone feels, and you either get it or you don't. And everyone here is just so excited to be working on what we are working on. It's very hard not to give away extra details.
No details. That's everything that we share.
Do you know what's really funny? Actually, you talk about that, where you say when the difference when I speak to someone when they've just started, before they've had that pitch from you, Mike, and then they have the pitch, and they were like, "Oh my god, I get it. It's amazing. It's amazing." So it's you see quite a difference in people as they're onboarding as part of that.
I am very inspirational.
Yeah, when they go that bit.
All right, no more.
No. That's
The bit with the ostrich head where it goes down and it chases you like, wow, I didn't see that coming.
No beaks, remember.
And I guess we should also talk a little bit about our new friends over at Amazon Games. Amazon Games are actually a really, really exciting partner for us. We spoke to every AAA publisher. We spoke to all of them. We really wanted to see who was the best fit for us, who was the best fit for the game, who had the best chance to allow it to reach the most players and do the most for the game and hit our goals in terms of creating an incredible experience. And every single conversation, every single meeting we had with Amazon Games, we left the room thinking, bloody hell, these guys are great.
Yes.
They're great. And
that consistently grew.
Yeah, it was every single time. It was just like you're just more and more and more impressed with their vision for what they want to do as a publisher. It is actually unique. It is actually completely different to the entire rest of the industry at the moment.
Completely.
It's something you hear quite a lot. people saying like, we're developers, we understand what it's like to be developers, and you actually really feel that from everyone that we've met and worked with at Amazon. Like they do have this huge back catalogue of games that they've worked on. That you just kind of go, well, I think they know what they're talking about.
Yeah. I thought it was great when they came into the studio and they're all playing the game. And they didn't want to get off playing the game, did they? We were like, come on, we've got things to show you. This team's been prepping loads of things to show
schedule,
you.
We're going to be late for lunch.
Yeah. And there's like, just one more game.
The sandwich is going cold over there.
Yeah, get over there and eat that lunch. But the fact that they were so excited and didn't want to put the controller down and continue to play. In fact, some of them went to the meeting and then, a couple of the biz dev guys stayed just playing.
It was funny as well. That we just talked about like building that emotional connection. There was none of that in that demo. That was just build a leaderboard and they need to get top.
Yeah.
There are definitely some core motivations that just drive players, and being top of that leaderboard was one that was we had to literally drag them away from. So,
yeah. But I think one thing you're right about is that how Amazon have really impressed us that whole way from that initial meeting when we spoke to them, and we didn't really know a lot about Amazon games at the time. We knew what everyone else knows, right? But that understanding them as a business, as we've gone down this journey with them, it's so impressive. It really is. And I think I think we, right from day one, we kind of felt it, that they got it. They got what we were trying to do. They they got us as a team as well. I thought that was perfect.
I think, and to talk a little bit more about those things that they can offer that other publishers can't, and we not seeing. I mean, it's pretty astounding, right?
Yeah.
Without being able to go into too many details. Obviously.
Yeah, because you go into it, don't you? Thinking, right, okay, so Amazon Games, and their most recent release, I think, was New World, which did really well, right? It was top of Twitch, top of Steam charts. It was a really high-performing MMO, but we're not making an MMO, so it's just like, okay, what will they be able to kind of do for us? And it's when you have that conversation, then they just remind you that, we own Twitch, and we own Amazon Music, and we own like Prime, and it's like, and Prime Gaming, and you're just like, and you start to see the opportunities that it has to kind of like to add like to the game in a way that the publishers can't really compete with. Yeah.
I think we've been really lucky as well, haven't we? Let's be honest. The fact that we kind of had a really good choice of who we wanted as well, didn't we? And having that, having the opportunity to actually go with the people that we wanted to, and we felt that connection with really early on was, and the fact that we're here. But we talked about what the industry is like at the minute. For us to be that positive news story within the industry right now, I think is with Amazon, I think it's amazing.
Yeah, and I guess we can talk a little bit, and I did mention this on the last pod over at GDC, but we should talk a little bit about how this happens, because I think it is just it's a black box, right? I think as a gamer, you'd have no idea how a new IP independent studio goes from being a PowerPoint to being a game, and it takes a lot, right?
Yeah.
It is high effort. As I mentioned, we were speaking to every AAA publisher. We wanted to check whole market, see what the options were, see what the vision of each of them are. And you can't really look at where the publisher stands today, because we're not releasing the game today. We need to look at their vision over the next number of years, and where they're going to be and what they're going to be able to do for our game over that period. So we kind of started the process at GDC 2023. Where we went out, our software at that point was very immature. Immature meaning like very incomplete, rather than immature being childish. I realized
because there was 10 of us at the time.
I realized there's two ways to hear that sentence. It was all fart jokes. But we had a really solid like vision for what we wanted the studio to be. We had a really great team already in place. I think everybody at that point you would reasonably call a game dev superstar, and you go in there and saying, right, we're Maverick Games. This is our vision for what we can do as a studio. This is who we are and what we've done in the past. This is our game. And at that point, we had no video, did we? It was just PowerPoint. Yeah. And so we're going out there and giving them. It's me really giving them the sell, like making them try and believe the dream on what it was we're going to make, but without really being able to show them anything. And we had a really, really great response. But in this moment, we learn that, there's a lot of games being pitched. There's hundreds of games being pitched every GDC, and we are but one. And whilst we're getting amazing responses, I think the thing that we learned is well, we learned this actually from some other people. It wasn't our own experience, but they don't waste their own time. If your 10 slides in and they don't like it, they'll tell you to stop and leave.
Yeah.
And every single person we saw was like trying to book in the next conversation. When can we see software? When can we play it? And that started what would become a year-long set of conversations with multiple different publishers.
Courting.
Yeah. It was a
Been watching Bridgerton. Sorry.
it was a very, I mean, it was very high effort. I've got more air miles in the last 12 months than any previous year. I've now got status with both BA and Virgin.
And that's the most important thing. Out of all of this, yeah.
And it was worth it.
And you're having to continue each of those conversations because you need to find out, for us as a studio and for the game that we're trying to make, we need to find out who is the best fit for us. We can't just stop talking to somebody because you've met one person from that whole company and like maybe you weren't really feeling it, but you kind of have to carry on anyway because there's another 600 people that work there. And you might actually find that the team you will be working with, the team that are going to be taking this game and taking it to market are amazing. So you're carrying on with all of these conversations for the entire year. And throughout that time, the game's getting made, right? And we are producing various visual demos, producing various gameplay demos. Yep. Gamescom was the next kind of big moment for us. That was where we had a gameplay demo that we were really excited about. It was around about...
That's our big PC.
We were carting around a very, very heavy PC, such was the last minute prep, the decision that we were going to take gameplay. Our demo was about 40 minutes as well. It was really, really long, had like loads of different kind of gameplay experiences in it. And yes, then we kind of repeat. Whereas previously it was here's us, here's the vision, here's what we think we're going to do for the game, and now it is like here's a controller. Please remember the previous slides because we don't have the time to go over all that again. And now you give the pitch whilst they're playing the software.
It did make us really dynamic and agile as a team because constantly behind the scenes we're kind of going, well, we've already shown all this stuff, so we want to show off some new stuff. We want to show the things that are coming up in a couple of weeks' time. So you're always constantly looking at what's the cool stuff that the team has been doing, which was easy because everyone's working on lots of cool stuff. But there's a difference between having done something that is cool and looks great, and then making that presentable as well, which was kind of a lot of what you were doing throughout that period. Like
how does it fit in the kind of story you're trying to tell about?
Exactly.
Yeah,
and the pitch.
And from there, so that's Gamescom, that's late summer. We're working into VR, and our next goal was, all right, well, we need to prove how good this game's going to look, because as much as we'll all stand here and say gameplay is the most important thing, everybody also really cares about graphics. And so that was the next step for us, was to prove that we're going to be, I won't get too bullish with it, we're going to be a really, really, really good looking game. And
great sounding.
Yes.
And
great playing.
And now it looks like anything we don't say, we're not going to be good at.
Which department have we missed?
Thanks, man. But the actual goal was visual.
I only say that because you would constantly come back and be like, the TV we had to play that demo through was not getting.
Boy.
It was not. It's not good.
It was like that. Yeah, we should talk about that in a second. Yeah. In fact, let's talk about that now. You brought it up, but that is the you just, because we've got a PC, or even you've got a laptop if you're doing the presentation, or you've got videos, and when you're stepping into that room to have to give that pitch, you're just crossing fingers. Please be a decent TV. Please be an LG OLED, please. And
oh no, it's a CRT.
Yeah, well, it was never
CRT.
It was never CRT, but often it was like just like a PC monitor, or like there's no speakers, or it's an okay TV, but
the Gamescom space was. I mean, the one on the
screen,
on the
let's
show
be
floor,
honest.
where it's basically like the type of screen you might get in the back of a airplane seat, like it's embedded into the wall. You can't reach
stands.
You can't reach the back of it, and you're in like a little office space with no ceiling, and above you is just the whole show floor, just like pounding around you,
just like this is like wall of noise. So
it's very surreal.
Yeah,
very surreal.
I think that speaks to the fact that we were really kind of anxious about it. It's just how careful we normally are about AV setup, and how particular we are about having like, all right, we're going to be doing a demo, so a really, really good, the best screen we can get. We need really good audio. We'll make sure everything's calibrated.
You only get that one shot, as you said. That if it goes badly, then that's it. And so
Yeah, and seemingly a lot of the people you're presenting to are less interested in getting that perfect AV experience. So that is always a big anxiety, actually, and it is one that is almost always met with, okay, this is it. Or there'll be some horrible latency setup. There'll be you plug in the HDMI, and you're like, it goes into a wall. And you're like, wonder where that's going. And then it's like you're trying to play it. It's like, oh, we've got 2 seconds.
At least the equalizer is that everyone that's coming in to pitch their games is plugging into the same
yeah,
TV.
yeah.
So if it's got lag,
unless they're on a laptop, though.
Yeah.
that is
Well,
the only
at
has its own
Gamescom,
problems.
I mean, there was one at one point where Tom and I were kind of holding up the TV whilst Ben and someone else was trying to plug it into
my
the back.
God, yeah.
And you could see that Mike was getting more and more frustrated because he's just like, we're running out of time. We've literally got an hour.
I was
We've got an
literally
hour slot."
drenched in sweat.
Yeah.
Just everything going on at that moment.
Because that's the thing, because you've got that time slot is really important because basically it's like a revolving door with some of these publishers. Someone else is coming in, right? They're coming in, it's really precious. And like you say, we had 40 minutes of demo that we needed to do.
Yeah.
And
it's often people you know. So you're walking out going, hello. Good luck. You're like,
My moto waiting outside the door. Oh no.
I feel like he'd be really picky about it.
He's got a Mario.
That didn't happen, by the way. Just in case that was not walking around the Gamescom floor pitching
With a big PC.
Anyway, back to the story. So, end of year, we have like that visual proof of concept, and I think that's a point where everyone now believes you've got a thing that you can play that's really, really fun. You've got a vision for what this game is going to be, and the fact that it looks amazing shows that you've got a team that can execute and actually go and make stuff. By that point, we had a pretty big team. I guess around 50 at that point.
Yeah.
How many are we now?
We are, well,
Over 60.
over 60. More coming in, actually. I say over 60 because literally we are putting out offers every day.
I mean, we just
so
had 2 contracts on this morning.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
yeah.
So it's
Loads.
ridiculous. Great ridiculous.
But it's at that point, we're at a point where it is actually a reasonably large team that can go and start making stuff at really, really high quality pretty quick. And you're then at a point where people don't need to have any doubts. You've kind of proven that you can do every step of the process. And that's where it started to get kind of really loud and really fast. And we had some big decisions to make because, we needed we didn't need to pick. We could have just not picked, but
it was also a year and a half at that point. Like we kind of
the thing is, it's like when there's offers there, it's really high risk to keep them at arm's length and just go, hey, we're going to see what's out there. We're going to just wait. We're going to wait because they can go away, right? The economy can turn on you, and it can just actually we're not spending any money this year. So there is a decision point that you really just have to like go, right, I guess we're doing it. And fortunately, we had a number of like really, really good options, which gave us that ability to go and choose the one we really believed would be the absolute best for us. And yeah, that's a bit of a summary of the journey. It's a lot of fun, a lot of international travel, a lot of time zone hopping, a lot of
a lot of hard work from the team back here as well, pulling stuff together so that we can go and show it off. I mean, got credit to this team; they've really just kind of moved in whichever way that we've sometimes wanted them to and delivered the very best stuff that we can, which has really shown in the quality we've been showing publishers as well. It's really amazing.
Yeah, and I would say quite a surreal experience as well, working on something that's so enthused and getting a lot of great attention with the backdrop of everything that's happening in the industry at the minute. Like it has been incredibly strange to every day just open up the news and see what's been happening with layoffs and companies getting shut down and stuff like that. So it kind of makes it incredibly real, and it sets the stakes really for what we are doing.
Yeah, I think that's why it's felt like we've been in a bit of a bubble since we started Maverick, because it's been so much positivity in everything we do, and like us all coming together was great right at the start of last year. Then seeing the team and the attention that we're getting from the industry and the people coming in, it's just there's constant great things happening. And then the conversations with the publishers started really early, and where we've got to, and getting to showing off all of that stuff, the whole thing has felt like we've been in this really positive bubble. Whereas there's other stuff going on outside, and we're like, wow, this is already shit out there. And in lots of ways, you think, not apologising now, you kind of think being at an independent studio and a smaller business that there's got to be it's got to be less secure. It's probably not the best place to be. But we've had at the beginning of the year last year where people were leaving these larger studios to come and join us. They were really worried about it. They were hugely worried because they were thinking, God, I've got a really secure job. I'm at this big, really well-known name studio. I should stay here. I should really stay here. But actually, and now they're saying to us, God, I'm really glad. Who knew being at an independent?
No one's thinking that anymore. Are
no,
they?
well,
But I think as well that that kind of macroeconomic state of the games industry, it does speak to kind of how challenging it is to go out and get a game signed.
Oh, yeah.
Most of the people we're speaking to have very, very little kind of room to maneuver. They're not signing a lot of games. In some cases, it's none. And compare that to, say, summer of 2022, where everyone was signing everything, and it was post-COVID. The industry was booming. Everyone just assumed it would continue to boom, I guess, and instead it kind of went boom. And that's that kind of cloud over it. So even where you say we've been in a bubble, we've still been very close to the kind of cold face on it. You're seeing like in a lot of cases our friends pitching and struggling and struggling to find a publisher that believes in them. So even in that bubble, it's still you're kind of bearing witness to the kind of tricky state.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, hard work.
But it's paid off.
But so much fun. It's been a lot of fun, hasn't it, really? The last
it's been
18
incredible.
months.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
And excited for the future now because, partnering with Amazon really enables Maverick to now go full form. Like we can evolve now. And
I've been so excited for this moment, I think, because I think often one of the questions people ask in an interview is, want to know about security. I want to know about what prospects for the studio are. And you can tiptoe around it and say, no, we're fine. But also you want it to have this great news story as well to tell people about. And I think that's going to be super exciting talking to people over the next few months.
Yeah.
So if you are really excited and you would like to come and join Maverick Games, segue, why not head over to maverick-games.com. Don't go to maverickgames.com, that's not us. Maverick-games.com and look at our job listings. There is a speculative application on there as well. So we will be hiring across all roles, all levels over the next few months. So if you don't see your job role on there, pop your CV in the speculative application box, and we have been recruiting from those as well. So that isn't just going into the shredder. That is very much an active box where people are looking at it and thinking, oh, we weren't going to open this role until September, but there's a great candidate. Should we interview them? And in many cases, we just brought those roles forward slightly so that we can hire those people. So,
and as well as that, you can just contact us on LinkedIn, right? We are all very active on LinkedIn. So if you do message us, we will get back to you with any questions that you've got as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else we need to say?
Don't think so.
Don't think so.
All right. Like the podcast, subscribe, all that other good stuff. Follow us on Twitter. Anything else we need to plug? Subscribe to Amazon Prime?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're not legally obliged to say that, I don't think.
But clearly we do like Prime now.
That was the first
friendship ended with Game Pass. New best friend, Amazon Prime.
First question from the team. Do we get free Amazon Prime?
That was the first question.
Yeah. No, we do not.
No, we don't.
We are not Amazon employees.
I don't think we've got anything else to cover. So I guess with that, we can say goodbye to everyone listening.
All right. Goodbye. Thank you very much for giving us your time. Like and subscribe. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.